I thought I had a perfect marriage. Until I introduced my wife to my brother. And one message exposed a betrayal I never imagined. I was the one who introduced my wife to my brother, and that handshake destroyed my family. Funny thing is, if you'd walked into our house that day, you'd have said we were the picture of normal. Sunday afternoon, football on low in the background, something in the oven that smelled like garlic and butter, my wife humming in the kitchen. Nothing about it screamed, "Hey, your whole life is about to flip upside down." Her name is Emily. At that point, we'd been married 3 years. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. The kind of couple that bickered over laundry and groceries, then ended up on the couch, half watching a show, legs tangled. I honestly thought that was what happy looked like in real life. Not a movie, just steady. My brother, Daniel, was always the charming one. Tall, easy grin, the kind of guy strangers just started talking to in grocery lines. Growing up, I watched girls pick him over me so many times it became a running joke. Didn't bother me as much once I met Emily. I remember thinking, this time, I won. That Sunday, ID invited Daniel over for dinner. We hadn't seen each other in a while. Different schedules, different lives. I wanted my wife and my brother to be close. That's the messed up part. I genuinely wanted that. I still remember the sound of his truck pulling up. Emily wiped her hands on a towel, nervous in that cute way she got when people came over. "Do I look okay?" she asked. "You look great," I said, kissing her head. "He's going to love you." I opened the door, and there he was, grinning, arms wide. "Hey, little brother," he said, pulling me into a hug. Then I stepped back and turned toward the kitchen. "Daniel, this is my wife, Emily," I said. "Em, this is my big brother." She stepped forward, smiling, and held out her hand. And when their eyes met, just for a second, something flickered between them that I didn't recognize yet. If ID paid attention to that tiny, quiet moment, maybe everything that came after would have been different. If you'd asked me back then, when did you first know? ID probably still say, I didn't. Not really. I just felt off. It wasn't like a movie where you walk in and catch them. It started like a draft in a closed house. You don't see it. You just feel that something isn't sealing the way it used to. After that first dinner, Daniel started coming around more. At first, I was the one texting him. "Hey, man, come by Sunday. We're doing burgers." He'd show up with a six-pack and some story from work, and Emily would light up in that polite, hostess way. I noticed how easy it all was. They laughed together, finished each other's jokes, even teased me a little. I took it as a good sign. This is what family's supposed to look like, I told myself. The first weird moment came on a Tuesday. I got off work early because a meeting got canceled. No traffic, no stops, just straight home. When I walked in, the house smelled like coffee, and I heard Emily laughing in the kitchen. Not just a little chuckle, full, loose laughter. The kind you let out when you're completely comfortable. I rounded the corner expecting to see someone sitting at the table. Nobody. Just Emily leaning against the counter with her phone pressed to her ear, smiling at the floor. "Hey," I said. She jumped like ID fired a starter pistol. "Oh, you're home already." She fumbled with the phone, hit the screen a little too fast. "Yeah, meeting ended early." I set my keys down. "Who were you talking to?" She hesitated. It was quick, but it was there, like a tiny glitch in a video. "My mom," she said, forcing a smile. "She's thinking about visiting." That answer should have slid right past me. Normal, harmless. But two things caught me. Emily's mom hates talking on the phone, and the screen on Emily's phone was still lit, upside down on the counter. I couldn't see the name, just the edge of a text bubble. Not a call screen. Still, I shrugged it off. "You're tired, man. Don't turn into that guy." A few days later, another thing. I was on the couch scrolling through channels when Emily's phone lit up on the coffee table. I didn't go snooping. I didn't touch it. But I saw Daniel's name and the beginning of a message. Can't stop thinking about. The rest was cut off. My chest tightened like someone had grabbed it from the inside. Emily walked in right then, carrying laundry. She saw the phone, saw me looking in that general direction, and casually flipped it over with her elbow as she set the basket down. Like it was nothing. "Hey, did you remember to text your brother about the game next week?" she asked, like the timing was a coincidence. I nodded slowly. "Yeah, we talked." Inside, my thoughts were racing. Can't stop thinking about what? A game? A joke? Something I said? It could have been anything. I tried to be logical. Daniel and I had been talking about a promotion he might get. Maybe he was texting her about surprising me. Maybe I was reading way too much into it. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Emily breathe next to me. I wanted to ask. I even rehearsed it in my head. Hey, why is Daniel texting you like that? But every version of the conversation ended with her hurt and offended, asking why I didn't trust her. So I swallowed it. More little things piled up. Daniel started liking a lot of her photos online. Stuff he usually never reacted to. A random picture of her coffee? He liked it. A shot of her in a sweater at the park? He commented, "Great picture. You guys look happy." You guys. That stuck with me. It was about both of us, but it still felt strange. Then there were the plans I didn't know about. One Saturday, Emily said, "I'm going out with Sarah for a girls' night. We might see a movie." Nothing unusual there. She even showed me a text from Sarah, which was either real or very carefully staged. I kissed her on the forehead and told her to have fun. She came back later than usual, hair a little windblown, cheeks flushed, smelling faintly of a cologne I didn't recognize. Not perfume, not something she wore. Something sharper. Movie run long? I asked, trying to sound casual. She kicked off her shoes. "You would not believe the line for popcorn," she said, laughing. "And then Sarah wanted dessert, and you know how she is." I didn't know Sarah. I also knew Sarah had a newborn at home and usually tapped out by 10. Still, I told myself stories to calm down. Maybe they really needed a night out. Maybe I'm just jealous of the time. Maybe this is my insecurity talking. That was the strange thing. Nothing was big enough to point at and say there. That's the proof. It was all almost nothing. A tone, a hesitation, a message preview, a smell on her jacket. But all those almost nothings started adding up in my chest, one small stone at a time, until I could feel the weight of them every time I looked at her and every time I thought about my brother. Looking back, there wasn't one giant explosion. It was more like the moment the last piece of a puzzle clicks in, and suddenly you can't unsee the picture. It started with a stupid phone update. Emily had gotten a new phone, and one night, she asked me to help transfer her stuff over. I'm the tech guy in our house, which just means I know how to plug things in and hit next. I was sitting at the table with both phones, going through the setup. She was in the shower, humming some song I didn't recognize. The transfer app pulled everything in: contacts, apps, messages. I wasn't digging. I was just following the steps. Then this little screen popped up. Also found messages with this account. Daniel. And underneath it, a prompt. "Do you want to transfer hidden conversations as well?" My heart stopped. Hidden conversations. I didn't press anything at first. I just stared at that single word like it was glowing. Then I swallowed, tapped yes, and watched a progress bar crawl across the screen. When it finished, her Messages app opened automatically. I swear I didn't mean to read anything. But the last thread, right at the top, was with my brother. No profile pictures, just names. My thumb hovered. I told myself, just check the dates. Calm down. I tapped. The first thing I saw was a message from him. Tonight was perfect. I wish we didn't have to pretend. Everything inside me went quiet. No buzzing, no racing thoughts, just this heavy stillness. Her reply was right under it. Me too. I hate hurting him. I really do. Him. That was me. They never said my name in the texts. It was always him or your brother or he'll be home later. I scrolled further up. There it all was in plain sight. Plans to run into each other. Jokes about inside moments I didn't know existed. References to days I remembered completely differently. That girl's night with Sarah? There was a message. Leaving now. He thinks I'm with Sarah. Meet you at the spot. The spot. My hands actually shook. I had to set the phone down because I was afraid I'd drop it. Just then, I heard the shower turn off. Panic punched through the numbness. I backed out of the messages, set the phone screen down exactly where Shed left it, and walked to the sink like I'd been rinsing a cup for the last 10 minutes. She came out in pajamas, hair damp, smiling. "Thanks for setting up my phone," she said, leaning in to kiss my cheek. Her lips were warm. Familiar. My stomach turned. "No problem," I said, somehow keeping my voice steady. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages. I saw my brother's name next to little hearts and smiley faces, and that one line repeating in my head. I hate hurting him. The next day, I did something I'm not proud of, but I won't lie about it. I followed her. She said she was going to the store after work. Just a quick trip, back in an hour. I waited 10 minutes, grabbed my keys, and drove a different route, looping around until I could get near the shopping center without being obvious. Her car wasn't at the grocery store. It wasn't at the pharmacy next door. I drove slowly past the row of buildings, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my neck. Then I saw it. Her car, parked on the side of a small hotel a block away. One of those places with numbers on the doors and faded curtains. My brother's truck was parked 2 spaces down. For a second, my mind just refused to connect the dots. I told myself maybe they were meeting someone. Maybe there was some explanation, some emergency, anything. Then the door to one of the rooms opened. Daniel stepped out first, looking around, running a hand through his hair like he always did when he was nervous. Emily followed a few seconds later. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't even smiling. She just looked tired. He reached for her hand, and she let him take it. That was it. No more drafts, no more almost. I wasn't imagining anything. It was real, right there in front of me in the daylight. I ducked down in my seat so fast I hit my knee on the steering wheel. Pain shot up my leg, but it barely registered. I watched them walk to their cars, hands brushing, like it was just another normal afternoon. They didn't see me. They drove off in opposite directions, like they'd practiced it. I stayed parked for a long time after they were gone, staring at the empty spaces. You'd think I would have driven home raging, ready to confront them both right then and there. But that's not what happened. I drove home slowly, like an old man, both hands on the wheel, the world kind of muffled around me. Some part of me had still been hoping I was wrong. That part died in that parking lot. By the time I pulled into our driveway, one clear, cold thought cut through everything else. My wife is cheating on me, and she's doing it with my brother. Revenge didn't come to me like some dramatic movie scene. It came in little flashes while I was brushing my teeth, driving to work, standing in line for coffee. Just this steady drumbeat in my head. They're lying to you. They think you're blind. Do something. For a while I did nothing. I watched. I watched how Emily suddenly had more errands. I watched how Daniel texted me less, but somehow commented more on her life. I watched them around me, too careful now, almost stiff, like 2 kids had broken a lamp and were trying too hard to act normal. And then one night, lying awake beside her, an idea slid into my head so clearly it might as well have been spoken out loud. If they like being together so much, let them see what it looks like when the truth is actually in the room. So I planned a dinner. I told Emily, hey, I was thinking, why don't we invite Daniel over this Saturday? Just us 3. I feel like we haven't hung out properly in a while. She froze for half a second. I felt her body do this tiny tense and release. Yeah, she said carefully. That'd be nice. I texted Daniel. Saturday? Dinner at our place? Just like old times. He replied almost instantly. Wouldn't miss it. All week, my stomach felt like it was made of concrete. At work, I copied their messages from her phone when she was in the shower again. I sent them to myself, printed a few out. Not all of them. Just enough. Enough to say, I know. Saturday came. The house smelled like roasted chicken and herbs. Emily fussed over the table, lighting candles, putting out the nice plates. It almost hurt, watching her play the role of a loving wife so well. When Daniel's truck pulled up, that familiar sound hit me different. It used to mean family, jokes, sports. Now it sounded like a warning bell. He walked in smiling, carrying a bottle of wine. Hey, he said, hugging me. Man, it's good to see you. Yeah, I answered. You too. We sat down, started eating, making small talk. Weather, work, random stories. Emily laughed in all the right places, but her eyes kept flicking between us like she was waiting for something to explode. About halfway through the meal, I couldn't take it anymore. The pretending, the performance. My heart was pounding, but my voice came out calm. Eve got something I want to show you both, I said. They went quiet. Emily set her fork down. Daniel glanced at me, then at her. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small stack of papers, folded once. I laid them in the center of the table and slid them toward them. Go ahead, I said. You'll recognize it. Emily's hand shook when she opened the first page. Daniel leaned over. I watched their faces change, color draining, eyes widening. There it was. Their messages. The lines about the spot. The I hate hurting him. The tonight was perfect. No one spoke for a few long seconds. The only sound was the ticking of the kitchen clock. Finally, Daniel whispered, Man, I Don't call me man, I said, sharper than I meant to. My eyes were burning, but I held his gaze. I'm your brother. Or at least I thought I was. Emily covered her mouth with her hand. I was going to tell you, she said, voice cracking. I swear, I went. I asked. After the next hotel? After the next lie about Sarah? When exactly? She started crying. Daniel stood up so fast his chair scraped backward. This was a mistake, he muttered. We didn't mean for. Oh, I know you didn't mean for it to happen. I cut in. Funny how people always say that, right? Like it just tripped and fell into their lives. I wasn't yelling. That was the part that surprised me. I wasn't flipping tables or throwing things. My revenge wasn't loud. It was controlled. It was putting the truth right in front of them and not letting them look away. I invited you here, I said, so I could say this to both of you at the same time. I know. Eve's seen it. I watched you walk out of that hotel, holding hands. So let's not play the it's not what it looks like game. Emily sobbed harder. Daniel went pale. You're my brother, I said to him. She's my wife. And you both decided I was the one person in this world who didn't deserve the truth. Daniel opened his mouth, closed it again. Finally, he whispered, I'm sorry. I nodded slowly. Good. You can be sorry somewhere else. I turned to Emily. My voice softened, but it hurt even more. I loved you. I really did. I might have been distracted, tired, whatever, but I never did this to you. I know, she cried. I know. I messed up. I am done, I said quietly. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to make some big scene. But we're done. They'll sleep on the couch tonight. Tomorrow, we talk about how to split things up. For a second, nobody moved. Then Daniel grabbed his keys and left without another word. The slam of the front door echoed through the house. Emily reached for me, like instinct. I stepped back. That was my revenge. Not some dramatic destruction, not getting even in the same way. It was taking back my dignity in front of both of them and refusing to be the one left in the dark anymore. The days after that were messy. Papers, lawyers, boxes. She begged, apologized, tried to explain feelings she said she didn't understand herself. I listened, but my decision didn't change. Trust, to me, isn't something you patch up after that. Months passed. Then one afternoon, my phone buzzed with a number I knew by heart. Daniel. I almost ignored it. Then, for some reason, I picked up. Hey, he said, voice low. Too heard you signed the final divorce papers. Yeah, I replied. Last week. Silence stretched. Then he said, can we meet? Just once. I need to say something to your face. Every part of me wanted to say no. But another part, the tired part, just wanted an end to the unfinished business. We met at a quiet coffee shop. He looked older, somehow. More worn out. I'm not here to fix anything, he said right away. I know I can't. I'm sorry. For real. Eve been carrying it around like a weight. You didn't deserve any of it. I watched him for a long moment. Saw how his hands trembled around his cup. I appreciate you saying it, I answered. Doesn't erase it. But I hear you. We talked for an hour. Not brothers, not yet. Just two men sitting in the ruins of something. When we stood to leave, he stuck out his hand. I looked at it, then at him. Finally, I took it. I don't trust you, I said quietly. Not right now. Maybe not for a long time. But I'm tired of hating you. It hurts me more than it hurts you. He nodded, eyes wet. That's fair. We didn't magically fix our relationship that day. But something loosened in my chest. Not forgiveness, maybe. More like a truce with my own heart. That was the strange thing I learned. Sometimes revenge isn't making the other person hurt. It's refusing to keep letting what they did control the rest of your life. And walking away with your head up. I left that coffee shop lighter than I'd gone in, not knowing that part of my story had ended and another part, one I couldn't imagine yet, was already waiting just up ahead. I didn't meet her the next week or the next month. For a long time, I honestly thought that part of my life was just over. After the divorce and that coffee with my brother, my world got very quiet. I'd come home from work, drop my keys on the counter, and the silence would almost ring. No TV in the background. No hey, how was your day? No second toothbrush by the sink. Just me and whatever leftover takeout I'd half finish. I did the usual starting over things. Joined a gym. Went to therapy for a bit. Took up cooking so I wasn't living on frozen dinners. Friends tried to set me up. Come on, man, she has a sister, they'd say. I'd smile and shake my head. I'm not there yet. The truth was, I was scared. Not of being alone. That part I'd gotten used to. I was scared of trusting the wrong person again. Of missing the signs. Of getting blindsided. Then, one random Saturday, everything shifted in the most ordinary place. The grocery store. I was standing in the cereal aisle, staring at two different brands like it was a life decision, when a box slipped off the shelf and landed near my feet. I picked it up at the same time someone else reached for it, and our hands bumped. "Sorry," she said, laughing a little. "Didn't mean to attack you with bran flakes." She had tired eyes, like she'd had a long week, but they were kind. Her name was Laura. We talked for maybe 3 minutes, about nothing, really. Cereal, the ridiculous price of milk, how busy the store was. Then we ended up in the same line, still talking. At the register, the cashier looked between us. "You two together?" Laura started to say no. I don't know what got into me, but I heard myself say, "Not yet." She looked at me, surprised, then smiled. "Smooth," she said. "But here." She grabbed the back of the receipt and scribbled her number. "If you're serious, you can text me. If you were just trying out a line, at least you committed to the bit." I stood in the parking lot holding that little strip of paper like it was some kind of ticket back into real life. I didn't text her that day, or the next. I stared at her number a bunch of times, thumb hovering. Finally, one night, sitting alone at my kitchen table, I just went for it. "Hey, it's the cereal guy," I wrote. "I picked the wrong brand, in case you're wondering." She wrote back, "Hi, cereal guy. Glad you survived it." One conversation turned into another. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into walks, movies, long talks in the car in front of her place because neither of us wanted to say goodnight yet. Pretty early on, I told her the whole story. About Emily. About my brother. About how it all fell apart. She didn't flinch. She just listened, then said, "I'm not them. And you're not the same man you were back then either." That can be a good thing. With her, everything was slower, more careful, but not in a bad way. We talked about everything. Money. Family. Fears. Expectations. We didn't rush past the hard conversations. We leaned into them. A couple of years later, I found myself down on one knee in the park where we used to walk after dinner. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "Look," I said, "I can't promise he'll never mess up or say the wrong thing. But I can promise he'll never lie to you about the big things. He'll turn toward you, not away." She cried and nodded and said yes. Simple, quiet, perfect. Marriage with Laura felt different. Not easier, exactly, but healthier. When we argued, we actually worked through it. We didn't play games or keep score. And slowly, that knot of fear in my chest loosened. Then came another sudden turn. The day she walked out of the bathroom holding a little plastic stick, eyes wide. "I think we're going to have a baby," she said. I laughed and cried at the same time. Fear and joy tumbled over each other, but the joy won. 9 months later, I was in a hospital room, holding our daughter, completely undone by this tiny person wrapped in a blanket. A couple of years after that, our son arrived, loud and stubborn from day one. The house that used to echo with silence now echoed with crying, laughing, toys rolling across the floor. "Daddy, watch this." Sometimes, late at night, after the kids are asleep and the dishwasher is humming, they'll sit on the couch with Laura's feet in my lap and think back to that old life. Not to torture myself, but to measure the distance. I don't feel grateful for the betrayal. I won't pretend that. It hurt, and some scars are just there, like old lines in wood. But I am grateful for who I became because I had to walk through it. More honest with myself. More intentional. Less willing to take love for granted. Every now and then, they'll see a truck that looks like my brother's, or catch a glimpse of someone who walks like Emily from a distance. It still tugs at something, but it doesn't own me anymore. Now, when I look at my kids chasing each other around the living room, or at Laura dancing with them to some silly song in the kitchen, I feel this quiet, steady certainty. Life can break you and still find a way to be beautiful again. And I guess that's where my story really lands. Not on the night everything fell apart, but on all the mornings afterward, when I chose, one small decision at a time, to believe that my heart hadn't told its last chapter yet.